This
privilege
conference will now
to
be
order
recorded.
this regular council meeting for the town of Surfside Beach. I'd like to start with the invocation offered by Pastor Kirk Lawton of Ocean Lakes Campground.
Would you join me as we pray together, please? We come once again, O God, not only to invoke your presence and your guidance for this meeting, but we come with another prayer in our hearts. We confess that none of us really know how to pray. But how thankful we are that we do not have to have fancy words and beautiful phrases for you to hear us. Even our feeble prayers, if they're from the heart, are clearly heard by you, though they may not cross our lips in words. Lord, even as our Master taught us how to pray in what we call the Lord's Prayer, we would echo the words attributed to your servant of old, St. Francis of Assisi, as he prayed, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. We're at item 3 now, motions relating to the agenda. Do we have any motions? All right, we now move on to minutes approval, and we've got May 24th, 2024 regular meeting and the June 5th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor,
Second.
I'd like to approve the minutes of May 28th, 24, and June the 5th of 24.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item number 5, public comments related to the agenda items only. Do we have any public comments? Doing great. And before we move on, I just want to point out this is the first Hula Show day, so we want to kind of keep things moving so we can get out of here. All right, with that, before I start communications, I've been asked to introduce Miss Heather Garrison, our new Planning, Building, and Zoning Director. We're glad she's aboard, and she's probably not so glad that I've sent her a dozen emails by now already, but we're moving along. Okay, the next item, A, Champion Autism Network. Okay, I know it's not Becky Large.
No. Would you like this right here?
Yeah, the microphone, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Cindy Johnston. I currently serve as the chairman of the board for the Champion Autism Network, a local nonprofit autism awareness organization that was founded right here in Surfside Beach in 2012. In January of 2016, the town of Surfside issued a resolution declaring it the first autism-friendly travel destination, and the city of Myrtle Beach and Horry County followed suit at the end of 2018. The mission of the Champion Autism Network is to educate and empower communities, businesses, and organizations to create supportive and judgment-free experiences that enhance the quality of life for people living with autism, and training is available for businesses that want to be recognized as autism-ready businesses. Our local Beach Services LTD enrolled in autism training and became an autism-ready business, and we are grateful for their continued support. Tonight, we would like to emphasize the importance of that support and recognize one of their lifeguards, Jessie Kaligi. As faithful participants in autism readiness training, beach services lifeguards like Jesse were provided with training on autism awareness. Last June, a young autistic man got caught in a rip current and Jesse rescued him from the ocean waters. To quote Becky Large, the executive director of the Champion Autism Network, the continued support of beach services is so important. As an essential service provider to beachgoers, it is paramount that they understand and be able to recognize people with autism. The efforts of Jesse in June of 2023 reinforced the importance of autism readiness training. We appreciate beach services for participating in autism readiness training and creating a safe and comfortable place for individuals with autism and their families to vacation. But we especially want to recognize Jesse for his efforts in June 2023. On behalf of Becky Large and our board of directors, we would like to honor Mr. Khalidi tonight with a certificate and thank him for keeping the beach safe for everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you. Oh my gosh. You're awesome. Photo, yeah, we can do it this way. Sweet.
Can you just I'll shake your hand at the same
Oh,
time.
okay. There's no way before, so.
Photo op. We'll figure it out.
Hopefully not the last. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that is a big deal, so thank you very much. We're going to now move on to 6B, the peer update. Zane Peterson is unavailable, but Administrator Benson is going to give us a quick synopsis.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of council, good evening. Sent this email to you this afternoon from Zane Peterson, and he apologized for not being able to be here, but there's a couple items that are outstanding regarding final completion and closeout certifying the pier. There's a complete door threshold for building A that needs to be adjusted. There's the delivery of record drawings that needs to be submitted to the town. There's a delivery of final warranties. There's an execute final summary of change orders by consensus, and then there's the delivery of bond lien waivers. So those items are still outstanding before we can actually do final completion.
All right, are there any questions for Administrator Benson?
Mr. Mayor.
Is that Mr. Coleman?
No.
Oh, Mr. Staney, go ahead. I heard your voice down there first.
My question is, Jerry, do you have any kind of closing dates or anything from consensus on any of this?
We don't. We had a scheduled update last Tuesday, but there was no representation from consensus, so we're trying to reschedule that update meeting, hopefully to get all these items by the end of June.
So consensus is not responding back to you when you send them this stuff?
They may have responded back to Zane, but we don't have a date yet for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
I think also you said that this has already gone to mediation or it's going to mediation. I didn't.
I'll let Jared respond to that one.
That's all right. Yeah, so we've received a request under the contract, the construction contract. Essentially, if there's any sort of outstanding dispute, really at any point during the pendency of the action, will be before somebody can file suit, it requires you to go to mediation. And so they have requested that we participate in that. They actually had requested it previously, but there were a number of things that were in dispute, and we took the position that if we go to mediation, we're going to resolve all things that are outstanding. It might make sense to get further down the line in terms of construction before we go to mediation. And so now that we've gotten to where we are now, they've contacted us again and said, hey, now that we've eliminated some of those things which are outstanding, let's proceed with mediation. And so at this point, we've just been given some dates, possible times, the next 60 days or so. I'll be happy to kind of go into what that process is or looks like if anybody wants to, but essentially that's where we stand with mediation, is just getting it scheduled.
Okay.
Anything else? I have one question. I've had several, more from Mr. Vincent. I've had several residents ask about the cost of the pier, total cost of the pier, et cetera. Obviously, there's some disputed items that will be settled in mediation, but we know basically the cost of the disputed items at this point, correct?
Correct. So if there's 3 disputed items for the mediation, so if those are awarded to the town, then the final cost is $17,880,000.
Okay, and if not, it's,
I can't do the math that quickly.
okay,
It's less than $500,000.
okay, less than 500K, okay. All right. Anything else? All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 6C. As you may remember, I've been asking the various committees to come and report. We've got Yvette Hellier here to do the community garden report. I believe you are the original chair, right? Not anymore, but, okay.
That's correct. Good evening, council, administrator, directors, and Sherry, Regina, town clerk. I want to welcome you and residents tonight to, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about our committee, the community garden. And I have a couple of slides here I'd like to also try to run through. Our committee members are listed here: Audrey Connery, Sandy Barnes, Julie Dupuy, back there. Thank you, Julie. She's the one that put together this lovely presentation of slides and words for me. Deb Polizano, is she here? Also a member, and myself. Back in the fall of 2020, council member Drake said, "I think the town should have a community garden." So Mayor Hellier and him jumped in the car and they went from North Myrtle Beach down to Pawleys Island, looking at all the various community gardens there were to come up with an idea of how to create one for our town. So once they did that, then they began talking with the administrator at the time, Shanahan, to figure out how to design one. So this was the idea at the time: a community garden, a sustainable connection. And this sort of became the logo or the mantra or the slant, whatever you want to call it. But this was the idea that fostered the theme for a community garden in our town. Improve public nutrition, increase opportunities for an outdoor recreation, build self-reliance, sustainability, and neighborhood beautification. So they went and to work with Administrator Shanahan and Public Works, looking for a way to design and put together. On February 9th, 2021, council meeting, council member Drake met with Director Adair, and they identified a property that was 40 feet by 110 feet for the garden. Administrator Shanahan assured council by the next meeting he would report on how it would look, a cost estimate, how it would be managed, and his goal was that he wanted to have a committee that would take ownership and manage it. So they went about coming up with a way to do that immediately. And it was Sherry Milan who came up, Medina, sorry, Sherry Medina. They came up with the plot application. It had to be first come, first served. So it had to have a residency for the town, and then it had to be assigned. So she did that. The Public Works folks went in, they set up the plots. They miraculously, at warp speed, created 18 plots and made a call for plot applications to be submitted, assigned, and the next thing you know, there was a huge demand, and they went quickly and created 5 more plots to make 23 altogether, and voila. On March 26, 2021, the garden was open, and that was the sign that was posted. And there they are. All of us came that day on March 26 to the first garden day of the community garden. The second picture, you see a really good idea of how it was set up with all the plots laid out, numbered, assigned that day. And everyone has in their hand the little white paper, that was the rules. We had an outline of how we were to behave and how we were to come in and where we were going to be starting our season of being vegetable growers. Why isn't my little, I'm not getting mine. There we go. So the community garden is located in front of the All Children's Playground Park. That's where Public Works came up with. You see everybody has a pretty good amount of sun. We get about 6 to 8 hours, most of the plots. That's pretty nice. Right all the way in the back are some spigots for water with long hoses and a head, a nice garden hose head, so we can water our beds. And in the background, there's the lovely children's garden. Off to the side is ample parking, so we're able to have plenty of places to park. And up here, we are able to have what I call a communication center. There's the sign, says that registered gardeners only, that assures residents. We have a lock with a key, a code in there, so that only it allows for some sense of security. We have a nice bulletin board on the inside where we post information, who is located at every plot. We have bags for the vegetables or for taking trash out. We have a nice realtor style box for the applications to be put in case anybody wants to come in and get an application to give to somebody who would like to apply for a plot. And there's a bag there for extra tools if anybody wants to have access or a place to put in there. In addition to the plots, there were these memorial markers and a memorial bench. It was with the Bartlett family. They were contacted prior to the making of this garden, asking them if they had a problem or would they like to have these memorial markers of their family members moved. They said no, they would love to have a garden all around them for their family members. So we are able to see May Lily Bartlett and James Harlett Bartlett. They used to live here in Surfside Beach many years ago, and they are not entombed there, some people thought. They are just memorial markers. And they were very much, some people actually asked, are they here? No, they're not. Members of the family still live here, some in Murrells Inlet, some over on the other side of Highway 17 and 707. And they have codes to come in. They can come in and actually visit if they'd like and see the gardens for themselves. There's the 2 trees that provide a little shade. You see a plot in front. That was one of the plots, is plot number 17. It actually gets too much shade, and that's often the very last plot that we will assign. And the very first plot that people want to get rid of, they want to move to another plot. So this year, for the first time, we dedicated it as a pollinator plot. So flowers grow there, spices and herbs grow there that flower, and it attracts bees. And so we're going to go ahead and keep it as a pollinator plot this year. And you're more than welcome to throw seeds in there that will grow all sorts of lovely flowers and herbs, and take flowers with you and home as well. So that way it won't go to waste. But really the best things to grow in that plot are like onions and carrots and radishes and root vegetables. So we ended up turning it into a pollinator plot. The nice thing about this garden, there we go, is it has a compost bin. That's one compost bin. One of the gardeners likes to get in there sometimes and break it down and speed up the composition. But one of the rules is organic, recycles, paper, eggshells are allowed. People will bring that stuff from their own home and add it to it. And no disease or contaminated matter go in there. There is right next to it a green bin. You can put it in there. Someone brings occasionally a container of banana peels, puts it in water, lets it sit there. It contains potassium. You can use it to water your plants. It's a natural fertilizer. there's a shovel, there's a wagon, whatever you call it, I forgot. But you can, there's some supplies there, so it's available and you can fill it all up. The Public Works guys come and they take it. And we're able to do a lot of good gardening there with that there. We also have a recycle bin that's available. We also have a storage facility area that we can keep equipment there, like the garden apparatus you would use for tomatoes or staking peppers and other things as well. So it's very convenient, very nice to have. Let's see where it's slide 11. So some history about what happened. The first year in 2021, in the middle of the year, under Administrator Shanahan, a call went out to volunteers to help put together what is necessary for a community garden committee. I was one of them. We sat down and starting with the rules that Sherry came up with, we then worked on a charter and fleshing out a better setup for how to go ahead and set up procedures for the application and all of the dynamics that go into selecting people to be part of the garden. So we put together the charter and the application and procedures, and we created a draft. We had the first public meeting for setting that out and getting feedback. Then we fine-tuned it even further and created what we called an orientation packet. We forwarded that on once we got it into a really good shape to council at the time. And on in February of 2022, me and another member of the volunteers, Linda Barrett, went before council and answered any of their questions. So we got some more feedback from council, fine-tuned that package together. And on February 22nd, 2022, I love that. The committee was approved. So under the order or the approval, we have 5 members and the council member liaison, an orientation package which contains the garden code of conduct, the rules, the application packet form, and we declared that monthly meetings would be held the 4th Monday at 5 p.m. Today, meet the committee. Our committee chair is Audrey Connery. She would be here today, but she's having too much fun attending the wedding of some very dear friends. Sandy Barnes, the sunflower, is our vice chair. She does not like having her picture taken, so we have a sunflower representing her sunny disposition. And sunflowers grow really well in our community garden. In fact, I think this year, plot number 21, Mr. Lee has probably the tallest sunflowers I've ever seen in my life. And then Julie Depew, who's back there, she has, for the first time, I think, grown bok chow, which is one of the best ingredients in salads. Deb Polizano, she does our newsletters. We started a newsletter for our community garden before the town started a newsletter online, and then myself. So we are the committee. We meet once a month, and we keep pretty busy. The duties of the committee that was started with council was to act as the liaison that Administrator Shanahan set up. So we are the go-between between the town of Surfside Beach and Public Works. We maintain that bulletin board. We set up the first come, first served basis for the plot applications. We maintain a waiting list if one is necessary. We have the records for year by year with the garden that's necessary in the event that we need to settle disputes and answer questions as well. We coordinate different activities or events as necessary with Public Works, and we plan events and engage with sponsors. We, for example, one of the most important things we take on is the plots, making sure the applications are accepted. We have a major drive at the end of the year because every single year we have to have new applications submitted. Council made it very clear that these are not plots that are inherited and maintained for the rest of your life. Everybody gets an opportunity in town to have access to those plots, and they're just for the year. There's a liability clause in the application that you must sign, and that's to be signed every single year. So You have to garden all year long if you're gonna keep your plot. If you give it up by not gardening, you have to apply the next year. You can continue gardening all year and you can continue applying all year, but once you stop gardening, your plot will go to someone else if we have a waiting list. So we have perfect weather for it. So we are gonna have gardening going on all year long. So starting in November, actually, if you're an existing gardener in the current year, you can begin applying for your plot the next year. If you want to continue gardening, you get a heads up because you will have plants in your garden when we go to assign the gardeners for the following year. And it's only fair that you can continue gardening. So we start you off in December. Everybody else who doesn't have a plot will get to start applying in January. So you will continue having your plot and new gardeners come in to the fold starting in January, February. Then it's a first come, first serve. And to guarantee the first come, first serve, your applications all must go to Sherry, who is the official date timekeeper. Date and time is stamped on it. Then it comes to us. We meet in January, we start at the end of January when the deadline ends to then start assigning the applications as the plots become available. And then we notify you, and then the next step is you must go to an orientation. That's the orientation packet. You have to read the rules, you have to sign the liability clause, and then you get the code. And you'll be able to enter the garden and begin your gardening. If you are already a gardener and you have your plot already planted, then you can continue gardening and so on. There are a lot of folks that have continued gardening, and then there's a lot of folks who moved on. They have learned so much from gardening in the community garden that they've gone home and set up their gardens at home because they now know a lot about gardening that they didn't know before. So they've moved on. But it's been a pretty good system set up. It's vegetable organic gardening. It's not flower gardening. It's not limited to just, one. It's vegetables. You can go home and do flower gardening. So we're very strict about that. And it's organic. We have many different ways for you to be able to submit your application. You can do it in person, you can do it online, you can do it in the mail, but it must go to Sherry, and she must then hand it over to us. You can give it to us, and we will give it to Sherry. Once we get the plots assigned, then we start setting things up for you to prepare for your plots. One of the most popular things is Dirt Day. Public Works comes to the garden and dumps organic compost, and then you can then fill up your plots and get pretty good organic, even good dirt, and then you provide the fertilizer. And it's, again, organic. So here's a good demonstration of a good day when dirt arrives, and we make an announcement. The next thing is orientation. You must come to orientation. That is a requirement. Orientation has been very successful. It reminds people of the rules. It's a very good way of a gentle reminder of making sure people know the conduct, make sure they understand that this is the way we ensure that you keep your plot clean, that you make sure you maintain the weeds, that you are aware of there's no drinking, there's no growing marijuana, there's no wild and crazy parties at night, stuff like that. That there's no pesticides or herbicides, it's all natural kind of a thing. So we have that every year. It's also an opportunity for all of the gardeners to meet one another. So we really do establish a nice community sense. So that's a nice thing to do. And we have a good cadre there of people that year. We also do what's called Open Forum. Open Forum is an invitation we send out to the Clemson Extension Master Gardeners. These folks, the two ladies in the first picture, they come every year, Cindy and Donna. They share their wealth of information about vegetable gardens in raised beds. A lot of people may know how to do vegetable gardening, but not necessarily in South Carolina, and not necessarily with raised beds. and they are a wealth of knowledge. I know for me personally, we have all benefited from them coming, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. And they have improved our gardening methodology and technology a lot. Techniques are great. We have seen less pests show up. We have seen less failures. We've been a lot more successful in our harvesting of what we grow. We grow better plants and vegetables because we know what to grow for being in this area. And they also tend to be at the farmer's market, so we can follow up going to see them. Just so you know, in the second picture, that Plex PVC is my garden plot. That's what I was growing my tomatoes in one year. But, and it's really good because you can grow them really, really tall. But they come and everyone gets to learn all about what's the best way to grow vertically, as well as what's the best plants to pick for the season, so that you are not growing a cool weather vegetable in the hot heat of the summer. And you also learn why your, cabbage are being eaten alive by flea beetles and so on. So that's a really good process to have. So I'm close to the end here. This is our next meeting. It's June 28th at 5 p.m. Oh, one other thing with the open forum, the public is invited. So we're not just us, the gardeners, that actually have a plot there. Anybody and everybody's invited to the open forum. So they have access to the gardeners as well. And we spread the word as much as possible. So we have a good showing. And that's it. Our next meeting's coming up on the 28th. Some of the things we're looking at doing is maybe getting a couple more extra plots, because I think we might have room for them. And we've, with the help of Julie, we've set up a community garden email box, so we can start having more questions and sharing of information. When we have our meetings, we set up our minutes. We do our minutes quickly afterwards, and we do get them posted online, but we don't wait for the month to have them approved. We send them right out to our gardeners, so they get to hear about whatever it is we've talked about immediately. And then they get posted on the website, so they get sent out publicly to the public. And so that's what we do. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Mr. Waltz.
So the 28th, Yvette,
Yes.
the 28th is a one-off, right? Because you guys usually do the last Monday of the month?
No, we do the fourth Monday.
Well,
We do the
okay.
fourth Monday.
which is the 24th.
We've had, is it?
Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make sure, because being your liaison, I want to make
That would be
sure.
That would be my fault. I'm sorry, that would be my fault. Yeah, you're right, we have a lot of fifth Mondays and Tuesdays this year.
Okay.
Are you sure I have the 24th?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Oh, no, I just wanted to be sure.
You're
Thank
right,
you.
You're right, yes.
That's
You're
all
right.
right.
It's the fourth Monday of the, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay.
Mr. Stingy, I have a couple questions for that.
Yes,
Back when we started this garden, we at that time talked about looking at another spot.
Yeah.
If you ever needed it. Did y'all ever follow up on that? And the second part of my question is, do y'all have a big waiting list of people trying to get in?
the looking for a second spot was gonna happen if we had a long waiting list. We have not had a long waiting list. Yes, we keep hoping, but not so far.
Okay, I know that at the time we done it, we discussed it, and that, because the first year you did, you had a lot of people applying, and I didn't know how it went since then. And if we had a lot of people waiting, I thought it would be a good time to get about, thinking about looking for a second spot if we needed to.
Yeah, the first year was a real learning lesson. The first year, we found out that we needed to make sure that each plot, that one plot per household, because some plots had a husband and a wife. So we made it one plot per household to share. We also found it more effective, in fact, when there were friends that had plots, because they helped each other out. when they just had one plot rather than have them have several plots. Plots you have to be very careful with, we found out from the master gardeners, because if you don't keep up with the weeding, then you're gonna have a really bad time with weeds in a plot. They're more condensed and harder to keep under control and harder to grow plants in a weed compacted space. So it's better to have one household per plot. Then we also found that once people who don't really practice vegetable gardening, they get bored very quickly and they don't really like to do it, so they don't come back. So we don't have a waiting list. Especially when we made the rule that you had to keep gardening all 12 months. People want to only vegetable garden in the summer when they get tomatoes. They only are interested in tomatoes. Well, I have since been gardening, I've grown things I never used to grow before. I've grown cabbage, and because I never had success with it. I do now. I grow cabbage, I grow broccoli, I grow snap peas, I grow okra, I grow so many things that I did before. So I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
Well, I want to follow up with that. Back when we first started it, the gardeners always brought the council vegetables in here at one time.
I cannot get the growers to give up anything.
Oh, is that your problem?
Not my fault. You're right. Yes, that's true. We had a lot more than.
It's too bad it's communications, you can't make a motion.
Yes, but you're right, we also thought that if we had a long waiting list, we would do a lottery.
Yeah.
Was another option to create a more equitable way of ensuring that more people would. We have thought in our processes that we would create questionnaire for, do you have a place to garden where you live or not? So that we give preferential fairness to people who lived in apartments or condos where they didn't have spaces to actually plant in the ground versus those who didn't. And so far, we really haven't had to go that far.
Well, that's good, but I've been by the garden many times. It is a beautiful place over there. Y'all do a great job keeping it clean and growing vegetables. So I really think it's a great thing for the towns we're participating in. And I was just curious to know if we needed more, we could sort of start looking at it.
Yeah, well, we might, but, because I think it gets more popular, and, I'm a military brat. My father was in the Air Force. We've been to many bases, we've gardened in many community gardens. This is by far the nicest I've ever been to. We have access to good water, plentiful water, easy access, we have storage, we have fence around it, we have the dirt delivery. Public Works has done an outstanding job of maintaining the lawn and stuff. And our gardeners have been very cooperative in making sure their plants stay in the plot. And so it's just been a real pleasure to be a part of that whole process and the whole project.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
I have a question. You said you don't have a long waiting list, but does every plot get utilized every year?
Yes.
Okay.
So every single plot has been utilized and sometimes rolled over a couple of times. Every time we've lost a gardener, it's quickly filled in. I mean, it's like by word of mouth most of the time.
All right. Any other questions? All right, well, hopefully, this will maybe get a little bit more news and you'll get that longer waiting list.
Okay.
We'll move on from there, but thanks, Ms. Elliott.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're now moving into the business part of the agenda. Item 7A is the second reading of ordinance 24-0968, the fiscal year 24-25 municipal budget. Director Gruber?
Really don't have anything to present tonight since we've had so many meetings about this. So the budget, from the point of view, is minus the 15,000 that was taken out the last first reading. Other than that, everything else remains the same.
Any questions? All right. right, then, I will entertain a motion for approval of the second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kreckler,
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the second reading of ordinance number 24-0968, our 2024-25 fiscal year municipal budget.
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to approve the second reading. Is there any discussion? Without any discussion, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Pinkham,
No.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Crickwell,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
No.
Mr. Walls,
No.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Motion carries 4-3. Thank you. We now move on to item 7B, a decision paper, restructure of the police department. Interim Chief Davis,
He steps out, but I can jump up there.
Acting Lieutenant Dickel.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to stand up here for you today. I believe you do have the memo in front of you and an organizational chart, I believe that was shared with you as well. Okay. So I won't get into that detail or read it verbatim, but I'll just kind of hit some of the high points. It's no surprise that recruitment and retention nationwide has been challenging for law enforcement in the last few years. And Surfside Beach is no different. I think it impacts us maybe a little greater because we're smaller, so when we have somebody leave or some attrition or whatever, it's harder, we feel that impact greater, so. So we kind of, do a lot of talk about budget and keeping a neutral budget and not asking for money. We were trying to figure out how to deal with that.
Too late.
Sorry, Chief.
I have complete confidence in you.
Sorry. So we kind of looked internally to see if there was something we could do to reorganize, to try to stay within that budget and to raise the salaries of our officers. Because we've identified that we are one of the lowest, if not the lowest paid law enforcement agency in Horry County. And it is very difficult for us to compete to recruit and retain officers, quality officers, and under our current conditions and our current salary requirements. So what we've done is, and bear with me, I don't want to be dramatic, but I kind of want to just drive home the gravity of the situation that the department's in right now. We have we have 3 officer vacancies, a corporal vacancy, and 2 command staff vacancies, which would be the lieutenant and the chief. Myself, I'm acting in the lieutenant position, Interim Chief Davis in the chief position, and that leaves open the other positions that we moved on from that are currently vacant. Right now, we have 2 frozen officer positions, and then we have 2 officer positions that are currently vacant. Let me check if it's correct. And so that leaves us, so we have 4 positions that are currently vacant that we would, and 2 frozen. So you don't have to pay me $15,000, but I did do some sort of informal salary analysis with other agencies. And so if you look on your form, I won't go through all of them, but there's Myrtle Beach is starting their officers at $60,174. Conway is their starting salary is going to be around $57,000. The county is moving up. Georgetown County has raised their salaries. Even the detention officers at J. Reuben Long start their officers higher than our officers, our certified officers. So that kind of puts us at a disadvantage when we're trying to recruit and even retain the great employees that we have now. I even searched on some job searches in the private sector, and you'll see some of those there that some management positions in food service, and even hair salons are hiring at the same or greater rates than what we are paying our officers. I looked at some of the median incomes in Surfside Beach. The median income is 75,000 and some change, almost 76,000. The median income is 54,000, almost 55,000 in the county. Housing costs. The median housing cost here in our town is 402,000 and some change. In Horry County, it's 325,000 and some change. You have to have an annual income to qualify to buy in this town at 127,000, and to buy in the county, you'd have to have an annual income to qualify for a mortgage at over 70,000. As it stands right now, our officers can't afford to buy a house. Out of all of our officers, only 5 of them own homes, and they own these homes for a while prior to the inflation and the market, real estate market increases in this county. Most of our officers are in dual income homes, and some of those dual incomes include some unskilled labor, and they make more money than their husbands. We have a single mom, the supervisor, she can't afford to own her own home. So that has impacted us recruiting and retaining, as you can imagine. So what are we gonna do about it? This is what we came up with. And I wanna stress that this is a budget neutral proposal, which means we're not asking for any more money in our budget. We just want permission to reorganize and try to move forward with a reorganization with less staff. And what we'd like to do is eliminate. Right now, the captain position is frozen. What we would like to do is reinstate that position and eliminate the lieutenant position. And we also have a corporal position for a second detective. We would like to eliminate that position as well. Eliminating both of those saves the town approximately $205,781. So if we split that up between our officers, we can give them a raise between $10,000 and $11,000, raising their starting salaries to be consistent with these other agencies. It would be approximately about $57,000 is what our officers would start at. We think we can be competitive, and we can recruit and retain. We can recruit people at $57,000 a year, and we can retain our great employees by giving them it's about between a $10,000 and $11,000 annual pay raise. That would be consistent and competitive with what's around us, and we're confident that we can get the job done with that. Is it perfect? Is it optimal? No. It's going to put us at bare bones. We're going to be able to operate that way. We're going to have to be creative on our scheduling. But that's a budget neutral proposal that we think we can live with for the time being. It'll get us through this fiscal year, and we can get back to work. Just one thing I want to add is this proposal was made with the assistance of the Director of Finance and the town administrator. So we didn't just come up with these numbers at the top of our head. Some of these numbers will be subject to some adjustment as we work through the process with finance.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Shaw.
First, I'd like to say, this was well thought out. Yes, I appreciate this type of information. When I met with both of you earlier last month, I was impressed. You were already thinking outside the box, and this proves that. I know it's not the perfect solution, but during campaign and since I've been in council, I keep hearing we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And this plan right here is moving towards that, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your efforts.
Yes, ma'am, and just also to add to that is, I'm not trying to sound like a martyr here, but this is for sergeants and below. Command staff will get none of these raises. This is only for the folks out there in the field. Command staff have no raises. And this also includes, or it doesn't include, but is in lieu of that COLA payment that's going to be given to all employees. This would be in lieu of that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wallace.
and I also want to thank you and Interim Chief Davis for the time you spent with me and explaining the program and so forth. And we tried to get you a couple of more meals so it wouldn't be quite so tight, but not this year. But anyway, I just
understand that, sir.
Thank you. I wanted, sorry, I can't change my,
I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. I'll come back. I forgot the point of it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Staley.
well, I have a lot of concern. I do. When you take 4 officers away, are you gonna give us the same providing protection you give us when you had 20 people out there or 24 people out there? Are you gonna be able to provide the same service?
We're going to provide the best service we can with 2 to 3 people on the road, sir.
Well, when I've been out on the road just now, for right now, I don't see as many officers out as I once seen. Is that because you're cutting staff and to get more pay used for that, for these other people to get there? Why didn't y'all come to council at that point and say, listen, we need more money? We tried to get you some, but on the other hand, y'all sat back there and just like birds, you got quiet. You got awful quiet because I don't know if you're scared that some of these people up here was going to jump on you about something, but you cannot cut staff and give us the same protection that we once had. You can't do it. And to that, the people that was up in the top management, we were top heavy, is the reason that they were top heavy, because they promoted these people up to get them more money. That's what happens, because the council will not vote to get more money from the taxpayer to pay y'all. And so that happens. So your formal chief would move people up into different positions as soon as they came available to get them more money. But now you're saying, well, we don't need them. We can cut them back. So if you cut that back, you're not going to have the same protection you had with more people. You can't do it. No way. If you put more people out there, you got more protection. Are you going to wait on the calls to come in that somebody's doing something? Or are y'all going to be proactive? You got enough people to go out there and get to the point where you're looking at things to prevent it from ever happening before you get there?
Let me address those 2 things, sir. The ones we cut, the 2 positions that we cut, it's not that we want to cut them, we're trying to stop the bleeding. So we cut those positions, and they're not road positions. The one's one is a command staff position, and the other one is an investigator position. So we did that to hopefully not impact our patrol. That being said, there are 2 frozen police positions that we cannot fill in the current budget.
What?
And we wouldn't be able to fill those either.
But you didn't save the town no money. You just turning that money over somewhere else. So you didn't save no money.
Correct.
You just taking that money you're taking away from up above or cutting in positions, which you're putting frozen positions. Are you going to come back next year and ask me to give you 2 more back or 4 more back? Are you going to run off of this same budget next year?
Sir, we can't answer that.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. But you did not come in here when we were doing this budget, when you had a chance, and say, we need more money. We've got to have more money. Instead, you said, wait a minute, let me start cutting the top. Let me cut these people on the top down to where, and freeze that position or take that position away and give that money to somebody.
Sir, we're trying to deal with the hand that we've been dealt.
I understand.
That's where we're at. And I appreciate your passion. I do very deeply.
Well, it just gets me with the way this has been handled.
Well, at the end of the day, sir, we have 2 frozen positions. We can make do by cutting a couple of positions and moving some allocation of personnel around. And when you ask if we're still gonna give you the same degree of protection, we will do our very best to do that. I think we can reach our goals and our efficiency. I think we can do that.
But, excuse me, I didn't mean that.
That's okay, go ahead, sir.
No, sir. Go ahead, finish.
I think we can still make our efficiency, and our production and our safety goals met with the public. We're just gonna have to reallocate some things. This is where we are, and I do very much appreciate your passion.
You're not gonna sit there and guarantee me that this protection is gonna be the same, as good as what we have. That's what you're
I
trying to tell
can't
me.
guarantee you anything, sir, other than we will do our best.
Yeah, well, I do my best up here on council sometimes and it don't work.
I understand.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
so let's slow down a bit, not get a little too emotional here. What you're going to do is you're suggesting eliminating the lieutenant's position, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's not a patrol function, it's not somebody who goes out on patrol every day, correct?
Correct.
And that, you're gonna have someone else take part of his duties, allocate it, change it around, other people are gonna do that.
Yes, sir.
So there's no danger of not having that lieutenant. Someone's gonna fill his position and his duties. Not as like he's out there saving people and, correct?
Those duties will be reallocated and delegated and separated among the remaining command staff positions.
Okay. Now, the other position, the corporal investigator. What's a investigator caseload a month?
It's still roughly somewhere between 4 and 7, sir. It's
47 cases a month.
Picks up a little bit in the head.
It's 47 cases.
Yes, sir.
Which isn't super busy, but it's a nice chunk of things, and one person can handle 4 to 7.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem.
Unless we get something really heavy, and we really don't have that very often. And some of our officers, and it's a good learning tool for our patrol officers to learn to some of these investigative skills as well. So we have been putting more back on them as well to do this.
Okay, so that's another position that isn't like a person in a radio car riding around the neighborhood protecting us. He's investigating, but one investigator can do all the work of the two. Because the caseload isn't that heavy. If it was 20 or 30 cases a month, absolutely, you would have to have more than one investigator.
That has been the case, sir.
And you've been one of the investigators for the past close to a year, correct?
Almost, yes, sir.
So you know for what the task is.
Yes, sir.
So far, there's no reduce of patrol officers.
No, sir.
It's more in-house staff.
Right.
And investigators.
Yes, sir. We have the 2 frozen patrol officer positions, that's just where we're right now. But at the end of the day, folks, and just to be clear, our salaries are so low, we can't
fill them.
So we're trying to find a way to do this and stay budget neutral. And we're trying to be good stewards of the public's money. So, and maintain the safety balance at the same time. And that is our number one goal. That is our number one goal.
Now, the way it's designed right now, it's sworn, 20 sworn law enforcement officers. That's chief, captain, lieutenant, 3 sergeants, I believe, 4 corporals, 2 investigators, which are corporals, and then you'd have, I think there's 8 police officers.
A total of 20 sworn.
20.
Yes, sir.
22.
Oh, no, 20 sworn.
So
and a part-time, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, and a part-time, but we'll leave the part-time out. So that's 20. 12 of that 20 was supervisors, corporals and above.
At one time, yes.
Right. Now, we're starting to switch, rotating it to be more officers than supervisors.
Well, we're moving in that direction.
Right, moving in that direction, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a good thing. I honestly appreciate you two came in sort of forced, but because the other chief left, and you started thinking about how to get raises for your people. I mean, significant raises that are gonna be very, very competitive with all the other agencies around this area. The way to keep people is to pay them a good salary. Most of our officers are here 2 years and they're gone. We have to build up a department that people want to stay here. They don't want, people leave for all different reasons, but some of them leave for salary. If our salary is $13,000 less than neighboring communities, so it's not gonna work.
And that's been our main concern, sir. And I will just, I absolutely identify, Mr. Stanley, with what you're saying. I do. I completely get it. I do. It's just, we're in a ditch and we gotta get out of the ditch. This is one of the programs that we plan, and I say we plan. I do have to give credit to the lieutenant. This was his brainchild. My brainchild is we gotta find something to do. But this is the guy who's carried the heavy lifting, and I'm proud of him for doing that. Is it optimal? Absolutely not. Is it workable? It is. And we have been through every scenario. We've worked it through together. And this is what we're presenting to the council in hopes for consideration tonight.
And once we.
Mr. Coleman, your 5 minutes is up. No, it just did, Mr. Wallace. It just hit 5 minutes in the middle of Mr. Davis's response.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wallace.
I just wanted to get in I saw in this document that there were, you all let us know that there were 4 officers within the agency that are anxiously awaiting to see how this decision paper goes over as far as making decisions on their future.
Yeah, we have, at least 4 officers that have said, or that I know of, that are waiting to see how this turns out, because other agencies are actively recruiting our folks because we have some good quality people, and our supervisors. And rightfully so, they should be. I don't blame the other agencies for that. But they are actively recruiting them. And so they're waiting to see how this turns out, whether they might move on to, a different opportunity. So another reason how we can retain somebody.
That leads to my question.
Yes,
That leads to my question was, have you kind of had an opportunity to bounce this off of your folks in a kind of a informal way, just letting them know what you're trying to do?
Yes, sir.
Have you gotten some feedback from them?
Absolutely, sir. Yes. And we think that if you consider this and it passes, we think that we can retain the majority of our workforce and be able to recruit for those vacant positions.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinker.
I had the opportunity to sit with these gentlemen this morning, and I really appreciate the thought they've put into this. We've left them in a hole, and they're trying to climb out the best way they can and still keep a neutral budget. The budget has X number of dollars in it for the police department, and they're going to utilize that money not only to pay the people we have, but be able to recruit people. Because I'm not sure how well you've been able to recruit, but I don't think it's too, having $13,000 difference. That's a huge amount. So I would like, I think you've done a good job and done a good presentation to let us know just exactly where you stand. I wish it had happened months ago, but you weren't here. You weren't in charge. So, yeah, I'm very pleased with what you presented to us.
Thank you, sir.
I have a couple questions. The 2 frozen positions, and then maybe this is more for Administrator Benson, but how long have they been frozen?
They've been frozen since the proposed budget began, so April.
So they were not frozen last year.
No.
They were unfilled for quite a while, but they weren't frozen.
Correct.
Okay, how long have we been operating with those 2 positions open then?
The direction was, when we started our budget process before the retreat, we were going to freeze those 2 positions until we met with council regarding the budget. So I would say April is when they started.
But I mean, they were unfilled before.
They were unfilled before and now they're frozen.
And so I guess I'm asking for maybe a guess or just a memory, but how far back, do you know? Any idea?
At least back to September and maybe.
It could have been.
Yes, sir. I know it was at least until, at least back at September and maybe a month or so before.
In 2023.
Okay, so August or September maybe, and now we're in June, so 10 months or so. So I just want to
In
point
that
out.
general vicinity, yes, sir.
Okay. So we've been operating at this workforce for almost a year.
Predominantly, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we've lost a few folks in it recently.
Right.
But we've been able to pull it together and go. Bike week, we were able to get it together and go.
Right, so we've got 2 open positions that are not frozen that will be a lot more attractive at 57,000 than 43.
I believe that with my heart, sir.
Okay. So actually, there's a good chance we'll have more officers operating very soon than we've had for the last year.
A very distinct possibility, and I would never step in Mr. Vincent's shoes about, I don't want to step on Mr. Vincent's toes with regard to frozen positions, but of course, we're hopeful that those can be reinstated at some point. We just, right now, we're trying to calm the water. I think Mr. King can say climb out of the hole, and that's sort of where we're at.
Okay, yeah, so I understand that, and that's good, and, but I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that we're operating at a level less than we've been. I mean, we're actually, a good chance we'll be better than we've been in a year very soon,
Sure.
higher.
Sure,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, that's all. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Mr. Kruckle, you would have a first turn. Anybody want a second turn?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I also met with you today.
Yes, sir.
And can you just explain the idea you have about the, you have special tours that you're gonna have people filling in?
Oh, the power shifting. Oh, yes, sir. I'll be happy to. Or if it's okay, I'll let, oh, please. It's your idea.
I don't think that.
I have a lot of
I think it was
faith in this
direction.
young fellow right here, so.
So, right now we have on the shift, we'll have a corporal, patrol supervisor, and an officer, on each shift. And then we have a power shift, which normally runs between, in the afternoon into the early morning, and that, to cover the, busier times, and to also overlap when there's a shift change, so that there's no lapse in coverage. And that works perfect when there's 3 people available for that day, and then, the next shift, so if that makes sense, there's 2 on for a day shift, 2 on for a night shift, and then there's 1 that overlaps both of those shifts, that's the power shift. And that works, fine, and then if somebody calls in sick or is on vacation, that power shift will adjust to the up or down, to the night shift or the day shift, so that there's, worst case scenario, there's always 2 people working. And then best case scenario, during the high times, there's 3 people on. And that's how we're operating currently right now. But that gives us 0 leeway for a vacation or training situation.
And actually, I was just gonna add, we have a floating sergeant in there as well. So most of those times, during the busy times, we'll have 4 people on the road. Additionally, supplemented by myself and the lieutenant, and other folks that may be in the office as well. So we will, there are times we will have quite a bit of coverage. But what we've done is we've just allocated or shifted some folks' work schedules to more predominantly cover those specifically busier times.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey?
The 2 people that y'all cut, did these people never have to go out on patrol? They never did have to do nothing except sit in office on a shift, maybe to fill in for somebody?
Well, I know that predominantly in the past, they would be mostly administrative or investigative work, but now there are times when those individuals do go on the road.
That's basically when you ain't got enough people coming in, showing up, then them people have to go on the road.
When we ask for folks to jump in, yes, sir.
And you're, how many short right now, totally, officers?
8.
We need the 2 frozen.
You got, you first, this is 7.
Yes.
You're 7 short right now.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get it, whether them officers, them two that you cut out, whether they was just sitting at a desk job all the time, or would they be out on patrol? So you've answered that question for me, so
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I just like to clarify, just to reiterate, Chief Davis did start his interim position until May 4th, and then Lieutenant Mickle started a week later. So I applaud their efforts coming in within 4 to 5 weeks to show a restructure, even after we've had a number of budget discussions. So I applaud the effort.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, can I answer back to Jerry?
Sure, you did use all your time.
I didn't or did?
You did not.
Okay. You say they didn't come in till late in the game. Should they be making these decisions on 4-week notice then? I mean, that's pretty quick.
But the structure's been vetted out between myself and finance and with these two individuals. So I like the restructure. The restructure's been talked about previously.
Mr. Mayor,
Well, he was still in there, so, I'm sorry. Is there any other comment?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shaw?
again, I applaud you for doing what you've done, because you came in the middle of the budget, right? You weren't in this leadership role, both of you, as when, last year, when you're talking 2023. So for these two people to volunteer to be in these leadership roles and came up with one heck of an idea, and not just their idea, they vetted it through finance, they had the town administrator, they had all the pieces working together. And you know what? This is good team effort here. This is a good start. And I applaud you, and I wish I could give you a plaque, I wish I could give you a raise. But, I think we're gonna be good with this plan. And we can work through something, we can always get better. But, especially this, which you came up with, our diagram, the power shifting. What a great idea. So once again, thank you, and I appreciate you volunteering and coming in this with great ideas.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms.
do we
King.
need a motion on this? Is that what?
Well, I'll entertain a
Going
motion.
to-
Yeah, I mean, actually, we probably should have had a motion before starting all the discussion, so.
I would like to make that motion.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
That
Wallace.
we adopt the reorganizational chart that they have put together and support this decision paper. To put it in place so they can get it going as soon as possible.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Okay, and I apologize for the breach of rules there. I'm not going to restart debate. We've been discussing this for quite a while. So let me just restate the motion that it's been moved that we adopt the proposal from Interim Chief Davis and Acting Lieutenant Mickle. And is there any other comment picking up where we left off?
just want to make sure it's with the salary increases too, right?
Yes, with
Just not
these-
the-
this proposal, yes.
Just not the reorganization, but the salary
Correct,
increase.
correct, with the salary, yes. So I have one last question. I also believe that the workforce is now starting to move a little bit away from Highway 17 and more internal to the town. Is that beginning?
We have just reiterated to the workforce that to achieve a balance of enforcement, not just up on Highway 17, but also throughout the town and our neighborhoods. We just kind of want to emphasize community engagement and to interact with the public. We think that doing that in the neighborhoods it's easier to do that in neighborhoods than Highway 17. That does not mean that we are not enforcing laws on Highway 17 and that we are still actively enforcing, rules up on Highway 17. We're just asking our officers to have a balance and to do that as well out in the community.
I suppose maybe I should say that we're patrolling it rather than maybe just sitting and waiting. I mean, there's always a little bit of that too.
Yes.
But, okay,
Yes.
okay. I just wanted to make that clear. And with that, I think I'm done. Okay, if that is it. So, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Crown.
Yes, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All right, we're now going to move on to the Peer Committee Liaison appointment, and that's just a very simple matter. Mr. Walsh has asked to leave that position, and I'm going to honor that request, and I'd like to appoint Ms. Shaw. You will take the position?
Thank you, yes.
Okay. All right. At that point, we have concluded the business part of the meeting, and we're on to item 9, public comments on town services or business conducted. Anybody wish to speak? Okay. Town council discussion or comments? I'm going to start with Mr. Kreckloff.
Well, thanks to all that came out and those listening. It's good that it seems like there's more people that are actually taking an active part in the government these days. That needs to keep happening. I guess I'll see you next time.
Mr. Kinkin.
I also want to thank everybody for showing out. I hope there are a lot of people listening in. I want to thank the Garden Committee. I think that's an excellent presentation, and if you've not ridden by there, go by there. They have some beautiful gardens. I want to reach over and pick something, but I don't do it. But I do love riding by there because it is very well kept. It's a credit to our town. And then I also want to thank our police, acting police chief and lieutenant. This is a good program you put together. You weren't part of the budget process, but you took the dollars that we approved and rearranged it. I think it's certainly worth trying. Hopefully, if you see a problem, you come back to us and not wait a year. You don't know what he's got up his sleeve. But anyway, I do appreciate it. It is really some thinking on your part that after your explanation, because I had the same doubts that Mr. Stamey did, but by rerouting, instead of everybody working 6 to 6, that you have some that come in later in the afternoon and stay later in the evening. I really think it's going to be a way to go, and you definitely have to have the money or you're not going to be able to hire anybody or even keep the ones you've got. So thank you so much for bringing that to us. Again, this is a wonderful town. We rely on our first responders for so much. We're trying to shift. We heard the town say, we want to keep our fire department. And we've shifted money to that so that hopefully that we'll start seeing people added to the department very soon. And it does need to happen soon because we're woefully short in that department. With that said, I want to tell John again how much I enjoy his guys' planters. Those baskets are absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, thank you all for being here and hope to see you 2 weeks. And 1 day.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Shine.
I can't express enough, and I encourage the residents to go and talk to these gentlemen that are in the acting chief and lieutenant position. Wealth of information that I've received in a little bit of time that they've been in this position has been overwhelming. I finally learned about the dispatchers, which I've been asking about for over a year. They just tell you, they answer your questions, they make you feel like you're part of the community, and they're part of our community. It is a true first responder family, and that's what we have right now. So I do appreciate that, and I'm just trying to get the glue out tonight. My granddaughter's first show this year. A little selfish, but be safe.
Mr. Walls.
Okay, I'll be quick for Michelle. But normally I don't say a lot, but I do need to take just a minute tonight. First of all, I would like to thank everybody that attended, came in, listened, tuned in. I want to make a special thanks to our town staff who has worked so hard through this budgeting process. And you guys to get the special kudos tonight. That was an amazing program you put together. I appreciate the time and patience you gave me, walking me through it and helping me understand that we would still be safe and we could make our guys some more money. So having said that, I want to speak just a second about a project that Mayor Kraus has asked me to take on with regard to growing our A-tax and H-tax revenues in the town of Surfside Beach. As a sales and marketing executive within the tourist and travel industry for a huge part of my 40-year career, I've been pondering how best to do this in my brief tenure in the town government to have a positive, long-lasting impact in the public relations and marketing arena to our vital tourism segment, which represents, I think as we all know, about 80% of our overall budget income for the town of Surfside Beach. So as a result of this intense contemplation, I have come up with a plan. So I'll be speaking from time to time on my closing comments about exactly what public relations means to the town of Surfside Beach. I'm a bit concerned that folks don't really, it's just a bunch of parties, but it's an investment in our future. The purest definition is that public relations is a strategic practice of managing relationships between our town and its key public to earn positive exposure, influence, and reputation. That is vital for our revenues. The other thing we'll be doing is to educate our town on exactly why public relations is integral to the town's success in growing our H-tax and A-tax revenues, and the many advantages having high functioning PR effort will bring to our goal, including increased brand recognition, connecting with our target audience, building a brand image, maintaining brand reputation, increased visibility to our destination, building media relationships, attracting investors to our community, and providing value to our visitors. And lastly, I'll just say, I'll work closely with our communications director to develop what I think everybody will be pleased to see, some tangible and quantifiable formulas to measure our ROI, our return on investment of our current proposed A-tax and H-tax dollars that we do invest in our future. So having said that, thanks everybody for listening to me, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Coleman.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out. I also want to thank the interim chief and the interim lieutenant. Great job. It's a long time coming. I've been on the other side of the podium asking council to give raises. And in a short time that you two have become the commanding personnel in our police department, you've come up with this great idea. It's not perfect, of course not. We're still gonna freeze two. Hopefully we can unfreeze those two. But we're gonna fill other positions. We're gonna fill the chief's spot, we're gonna fill a captain's spot. So it's not as bleak as it first sounds. And both of you, I'm not gonna tell you how long, but both of you have over 20 years in law enforcement. Some almost double that. You just didn't start doing this last week. You know what you're doing. You've seen other departments. You've seen how they've done it, and you brought your ideas. And I think it's a great idea that you did. And it's not gonna cost the taxpayers any more money than it did. If you couldn't think of a way, maybe we'd have to raise it a little bit. And maybe we will raise our mills a little bit when we really find out if we need any more. But I think having people do multiple jobs, in-house staff, in the station house, I think is a great idea. And that power shift, I think it's a great idea, because that's what it's all about. Having two people riding around when there's nothing going on, it's kind of a waste. So I thank you very much for bringing it up and putting it forth, because other people would have just sat back and never even shared their idea. So thank you very much to both of you.
Mr. Stamey.
Thanks for everybody coming out, and I want to thank y'all too for what you've done. I hope it don't turn into the fire department that we have now in a later time. It could, but I hope not. I hope it's managed better than what that's been managed down there. With saying that, thanks to all the employees and everybody that's here. So, good night.
All right, I'll wrap it up. I want to thank everybody who attended, everybody online. I also wanted to acknowledge Mr. Khalidi one more time. I think he's gone, but yeah. But I still want to acknowledge that, and it does point out the importance of our autism awareness campaign. I want to thank Ms. Hellier and all of our committees. I want to keep bringing those people forward so you see what's going on. And you hear they're working for you too, so I want you to know what's going on there. I will also thank the police staff here. Everybody's already said that, but I'm just going to say thanks. Mr. Walls, I appreciate his comments. I've asked every member here to take on an assignment based on his or her interests or abilities, and we'll be talking about those more as we go on. And again, we all work together, but I want those who have the skills and the interest to bring forth some ideas. I want to wrap up so that those of you who want to can get to the hula show. And the last thing I'll say is we are meeting here today, Monday night, because tomorrow is primary election day, so don't forget to vote if you haven't already. With that, I'm going to look for a motion to exit the regular meeting and enter executive session.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the regular meeting and enter into executive session pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-70. A1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee, or in parentheses, this one is police chief application.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.